There are many facets, but I'm going to give you one. They'll have this meeting, and I know because I was in the meetings 30 years ago. And the food industry says we are putting some ingredients in the food, some additives. And our chemists and scientists know that this one additive in a minute amount doesn't cause any problem. And this other additive in a minute amount really doesn't have any long-term negative effects. And this third additive in a minute amount really doesn't have any negative effects on a person if it's in food and they consume it. But our chemists have discovered that when you add all three at the same time, a new compound is formed. And now the person's going to have twitching in their legs. It's going to cause this shaking in their legs. And it sometimes can take 3 to 5 to 7 years before it starts developing because it affects the nerves and so forth. So this is how the conversation goes. So the food companies will say, so what we're going to do is we're going to start putting it in the food, knowing that 7 or 8 or 9 years from now, there's going to be hundreds of thousands or millions of people with this leg shimmering, shaking issue that are going to want a treatment. We should call it something. I know, we'll call it restless leg syndrome. So when restless leg syndrome comes out 7 or 8 years from now, you guys, the drug companies, should have a drug approved and ready to go. And you'll make a zillion dollars. Okay, so and then the drug companies say, yeah, we're going to do this. So they start working on the drug knowing that there's going to be this epidemic down the road. That's why magically when there's this epidemic of psoriasis that's everywhere, or diabetes, or hypertension, or restless leg syndrome, or irritable bowel syndrome, or all these new diseases that didn't exist 50 years ago, but everyone's got it. There's words I can't even pronounce where if you're taking a drug and you're having, twitching, take this other drug. When I was a kid, nobody walked around and did this. But now it's like all over television in America, and it's like a common occurrence. Are you kidding me? And it's caused by a drug or what's in the food. And you know what their solution is? Take another drug. Then the insurance companies get involved and say, how can we make money on this? So they have to get the government, which is your taxpayer money, and they work out a deal through the lobbyists to make sure that this drug is paid for by insurance and effectively paid for by the government. Perfect. Because remember, the government pays for Medicare and Medicaid in America. In other countries, it's very similar. So they work together on this, and this happens all the time. This is how they make their money. And what they don't want to do is they don't want to spend money on a claim because that will cost them money. So the drug companies have an MO, modus operandi. They have a dictum. They have an internal policy, which is when they get a claim from somebody who bought their insurance policy for medical care, when they get a claim for a guy who has back pain or migraine headaches or something, when they get a claim, their policy is deny the claim. Just instantly deny the claim because they know that most people won't take any more action. So just always instantly deny the claim. That's the policy. Just deny it. Then if the person then files an appeal or hires a lawyer, the next philosophy is delay. Delay, delay, delay. This way, the person maybe gets tired of fighting, can't afford it, can't afford the lawyer. The drug companies then win. The insurance companies. And the third is depose, which means let's bring them into depositions. They have to have a lawyer. They have to take time off from work. We will grill them. We will embarrass them. We will go after everybody in their family, and they attack you just because you're filing a claim because you have nonstop back pain or knee pain or you need a hip replacement. That's why people hate the drug companies, and that's why they hate, most importantly, the insurance companies. the healthcare insurance companies and the healthcare organizations they're a part of. That's why they hate them. Because these organizations are not helping you. They have no interest in keeping you healthy. Their only interest is making money. And somebody says, well, that can't be true. They're human beings. They don't have an interest in just making money. Yeah, okay. If you believe that, welcome to Fantasy Island. Let me tell you how it works. Food companies, the insurance companies, and the drug companies are all publicly traded corporations. When I was on the Today Show with Matt Lauer on NBC, I came in with my book, Natural Cures. Katie Couric was there. She was terrific. And she said hello, signed her book. The cameramen, the executives, the producers, they all came over. They wanted a photo with me. They all had my book. They all bought the book. I signed the book. And Matt Lauer said, listen, you're going to sell a lot of books, but just don't talk about the drug companies. They're our number one advertiser. And I don't remember Matt's first question, but I remember my first answer. I said, look, that's not the question. The real question is, how come you told me 2 minutes ago, Matt, not to talk about the drug companies? That's the reason this book is out, because the drug companies are publicly traded corporations, which means the officers and directors of the drug companies have a legal fiduciary responsibility to do one thing: increase shareholder value, which means increase profits, which means every officer and director of the drug company has one goal: to get more people taking more drugs every day for the rest of their life. That's the only way they can increase sales and profits and increase shareholder value. They have no interest in keeping people healthy. As a matter of fact, that's a conflict of interest. If they really wanted people to be healthy, all the drug companies would be out of business, because healthy people don't buy drugs. That's the problem. The insurance companies don't want you healthy. They want to make profit. They have to. They're publicly traded companies. They have a legal fiduciary responsibility to increase shareholder value. Therefore, there's a conflict of interest. They will never do what's best for you. They will always do what's best for the shareholders. How can we increase profits? And listen, we hate to say it, but the CEOs and the executives of these companies get bonuses on that. Therefore, they have a conflict of interest. They're thinking about themselves and their family and how I can make $10 million, $20 million a year in bonuses. And I know it's deny claims. That's what they're doing. And nobody wants to talk about that, but that's the fact. They can't say, yes, let's give everybody what they deserve, what they bought insurance, let's give them what they paid for. No, they have to deny the claim. They have to delay the proceedings, and then they have to depose everybody and just keep it going. That's the fact. Nobody wants to talk about it. So we have a big, major problem. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is Everything They Don't Want.
Want to first address restless leg syndrome. I personally had it in my late 20s. My legs, they would just move on their own, especially when I'm trying to sleep. Combination of aching, itchiness, tightness, throbbing. And when you're dealing with this day in and day out, it's very, very tough for you to get any proper sleep. And at that time, I knew nothing about health, but I still tried to reverse engineer what went wrong, what caused this condition. Now, at that time, I was dealing with a lot of nasal congestion, a lot of sinus problems. So I was constantly taking Benadryl, Claritin on the daily. It wasn't until years later I come across information like this. Patients with restless leg syndrome already have difficulty sleeping as their symptoms tend to worsen at night or with rest, but sedating antihistamines such as Benadryl can intensify the symptoms, said William Ondo, MD, a Houston Methodist neurologist. When you're loading your body up with antihistamines, that could be a potential side effect, as it causes more pain and irritation to your feet. This is the telemedicine website, and let's see what they're saying. Non-pharmaceutical therapy. Next, identify and address RLS triggers before jumping to pharmaceutical therapy. Medications that worsen RLS. Antidepressants. Number 2, antihistamines. Benadryl, Claritin, Zyrtec. And for me, this was the culprit to my nasal congestion. What you want to do, you want to begin eliminating foods that you normally eat and see how your body responds. Now, everybody else in my family, they eat this bread, they have no problem, they have no nasal congestion. But for me, When I ate this specific brand, I started getting really terrible nasal congestion. Right, here we have the health insurance giants in the USA. I want to take some time going through their income statements, starting at the top. United Health, 2022, 324 billion, 2023, 371 billion, 2024, over 400 billion. Over here, the company extremely profitable, over 14 billion in net profits. CVS, same thing over here. We have CVS, we have that nice increasing top line revenue, and the company is profitable. Humana, doing right around 117 billion, with 1.2 billion in net income. Cigna, 224 billion, with over 3.4 billion in net income. Elevance, 176 billion. Elevance over 176 billion, with close to 6 billion in net income. When it comes to market cap, United Health Group is very close to Tesla, JP Morgan Chase, ExxonMobil, Visa, and even Walmart. So these companies are not going anywhere. What you gotta do, you gotta decouple yourself away from their system by prioritizing on your own personal health. I'm not sure what your path is gonna be like. This is the path that I took. None of this professional medical advice style, this is your treatment. I started cleaning out my small and large intestines back in 2019 by getting the waste material exit out of my body. This may be something you're interested in. I'll leave a link in the comments below. Hi everyone, this is how you get your waste history command for free. In the description of this video, there's going to be a link, the very first link. Click on that link, going to show you this page right here. And what you want to do, you can just go get right into it. You want to just click buy now. After you click buy now, I want to give you the coupon code right here. The coupon code is YWIYC. If you don't have the coupon code, you're going to spend $500 for this course. So you want to enter YWIYC, hit apply. You want to fill out all this information and complete your order. That's it. That's all you have to do. I'm also going to leave the link in the descriptions below, also in the first pinned comment. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. I'll respond back as soon as I can.